All right. So, I think we're going to just roll right into the vaccinations. Well, not literally roll into the vaccine. Roll into the discussion regarding vaccinations.
I hope we don't roll into them, Ben, because that is not an approved method of delivery. And we don't want to waste anything.
Ever. Right.
Ever.
Right.
Ever. Yeah, exactly.
There.
Well, Emma, maybe you can start. Maybe we can all start by thanking you first off for all the advocacy on bringing doses back into the community centers. Thank you. I know how hard you and all of the other local directors of Board of Health worked to make this happen. So thank you. And with that, maybe you can answer a few questions about how that's going to happen. Like where do people go? What's the first thing they would do if they're looking to make an appointment?
Yeah, sure. So the Massachusetts website, I think it's now vaxfinder.mas.gov. And that's the state website that'll have available appointments around, and you can search by region, you can search by zip code. I believe you can search, let me actually click on it right now so we're all being informed. And here you can see the first one that comes up is Boston. And you can see what type of site they are, if they have appointments listed or if they're full. For us right now, if I type in 01002, we come up as of right now, it still says the Amherst Regional High School, and all of our appointments are full because we haven't posted our new public clinics yet. But as of Monday, we will be transitioning back to clinics here at the Bang Center. We are able to do 250 to 500 people a day. We're going to be having clinics more frequently instead of the two big clinics that we are having at the high school. So we'll be able to have clinics about 4 or 5 days a week here. So anywhere from doing 1,000 to 1,250 vaccines a week here at the Bang Center.
Thanks. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, this is in coordination with Northampton?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. So Northampton and us here in Amherst, the whole health departments partnered up for a regional effort. Northampton is the primary site. We are the satellite site off of them. But we are really appreciative to be able to make this go forward.
And is this just for Hampshire County residents, or is it open to anyone who falls under the phasing guidelines?
Yeah, that's another great question. So as of March 1st, in order for local health departments to continue, these are open sites. All sites will be open and general sites for anyone in Massachusetts.
A general question related to this about how do you happen to know about how far the state is through the 65 plus and people with two?
Oh my good, that's a great question. No idea. I haven't been told that information. I'm sure they must have a sense, but I know that we just started it. At least it feels that way.
Yeah.
So still a lot to learn.
Okay.
I'm sure when they have a sense, sorry to cut you off, Krista.
Okay.
I'm sure when they have a sense, it'll be in the weekly vaccine report that they publish on the state site.
Okay. And I guess knowing the approximate percent of people they are through would require having a very good estimate of how many people exist in this pool.
Yeah.
And I think last time we talked, that was something that was difficult to identify.
Well, I know I'm not sure of those numbers.
Yeah.
I know that they've been working the census, have that be done and complete would be really helpful as well. And I think they're still working on that.
Okay, great.
Also to kind of take some of the pressure off of the local boards of health, you really don't have much control over the state website. You have no control over it.
No control. And I echo I think all of us in this moment are having a challenging time on all sides with the technology that's out there to sign up and get people registered. There are some challenges and some barriers that I know that they're working on in the state level. They do have the 211 call line available for individuals that are over 65 and don't have access to internet to help people register. But other than that, they're really trying to align people with those natural-based supports, family members, friends, neighbors, to help people register for appointments.
So just as a follow-up for that, for those people that have myself included, trying to get my husband an appointment last week, like I forget how many other people, that you don't, there's nothing that you can do on your end to facilitate the website. So calling the local Board of Health is not going to help facilitate getting an appointment, correct?
Correct. Local boards of health and health departments, because of health equity, we have to defer people back. We're instructed to defer people back to those natural-based supports to help them sign up and register.
And I think the next thing I wanted to ask, because I know there's been some news recently about trials for younger individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any information that you can share about that?
No. I wish I did. I've been so focused on our vaccine clinics this week. By the end of Saturday, we'll have done over 1,500 doses just this week alone. And by the end of this week, we'll have done a total of over 4,400 vaccines since we started. So I wish I had more time to listen to some really good podcasts and get caught up on that stuff. But I'm going to be honest, Jean, that I don't have that information.
Okay. I know that they have started some trials in adolescents, not very young children, but some adolescents have started trials. So I'll be interested to see how that progresses.
Me too.
Now, the first time we talked about vaccines, I think we were talking about 86,000 doses federally coming into the state, but that has increased, correct?
Yeah, the last count that I heard, it was about 120, but I think last week, after there were those delays in shipments, when Massachusetts, I shouldn't say we, but Massachusetts as a whole had an influx of over 150,000 vaccines last week, which is great. More is better. And the word that we hear is that Moderna and Pfizer are committed to expediting their process, so they will be able to roll out more vaccines quicker and in higher volumes. Speed up and improve production. That's what I meant to say.
On that, is since you were getting the Moderna vaccine sent, is it still the same with partnership with Northampton? Is it still the Moderna?
That's a great question, Krista. So we will be primarily obtaining the Pfizer vaccine for the state to continue our programs. We are hoping to continue a small amount of Moderna vaccine clinics, but those will be for second dose participants.
Okay, well, I'm glad I asked. So switching, sounds like you'll be switching to Pfizer then. Okay.
Yeah.
Another question on that is, and you might not know this because I know your focus is on your own local work, but is UMass still providing a vaccine clinic at this time?
Yep. So UMass will be continuing to be a vaccine site. I'm not sure if they will be continuing with Moderna or Pfizer vaccine, but they will be continuing as a site for Hampshire County as well. So the three larger sites in Hampshire County are Northampton here at the Amherst Health Department, and then UMass campus at the campus center.
And as far as you know, this is going, the community centers for vaccine distribution should continue for the foreseeable future. As far as you right now, it could change
Yeah, until it changes, right? So with us being designated as sites right now, the directive that we've been given is that we will be continuing through phase 3 for local health departments that are participating. In terms of community health centers, like the Jlmsc Center, or that's under the Hilltown Community Health Center, they are also doing vaccines as well. I'm not sure, as an organization, they're primarily doing those out of their larger Huntington clinic. The Jlmsc Center is obviously a smaller clinic here, but I know that we've been having some preliminary discussions about how we can support their efforts as well here in the Amherst community.
I don't have any more questions about vaccines for right now, Ben or Krista. I'm not sure if you do.
Yeah, I just have the $1 million question every time. I'm just gonna, sorry, Emma, but I'm gonna keep asking.
That's all right. I like it. It makes me feel popular.
So how far out approximately? I know you can't say definitively, and I know that things can change, but if we were to estimate, about how far out are the school staffs?
Yeah, I think that we've been seeing the phases come through quicker with those next stages. I'm really, really hopeful with the ramping up of the production. Now, see, I'm getting my words right, with the Pfizer and Moderna, and then also hopefully that Johnson & Johnson coming on board very quickly. I know that's going through the FDA for EUA very soon, I think in the next few days. So I remain really hopeful that within the next 2 or 3 weeks, but that's me speaking just on a kind of a gut feeling by how we've been seeing things progress, how quickly we went from the start of phase 2 to those 65 and over. I am just really hopeful that it's going to keep going like that for the rest of us.
And so, for the record, that's the optimistic view. I just want to.
We are the optimistic group.
Right.
I like to be.
Third step.
Let's have Phil.
Emma, that third step in the second phase, that's a fairly large group, correct?
It is a large group. So I think that step 3 will take quite a bit of time because it is such a diverse employment demographic with grocery, transit, teachers, DPW and health inspectors, so many others that I can't think of at this very moment. But like I said, I'm really hopeful with the increasing of the production, the onboarding of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, that hopefully things will move quicker than the pace of a turtle that I know I've been feeling some things are going.
I think I would be remiss if I didn't also give a shout out to our local state legislators who have been advocating quite a bit for us here in Western Massachusetts. So for me and Amherst, that would be Rep. Dom and Senator Comerford, and they really have been amazing.
Yeah, they're terrific. We're really lucky to have them.
So some of the other issues I think that we wanted to talk about were contact tracing, as well as, for lack of a better way of putting it, when to stay home when you are not feeling well. Why don't we start with that one first? Because that is kind of a topic that can be difficult to narrow down. We know when you should stay home, when you've had a fever for 24 hours, vomiting, diarrhea, all of that. But now that we're in a pandemic, what are the recommendations for when someone, whether you're an adult working or a child attending school, when should you stay home?
So let's see. So trying to read. So is it the things that I know with the season that we're in is trying to differentiate if is it COVID-19 or the flu? Really things that they want you to do is if you have a fever, if you're coughing, having trouble breathing, persistent pain or pressure on your chest, then certainly those last few things are medical emergencies. So you want to contact your physician or go to a hospital. But things that they really want you to watch for COVID would be if you have a fever, and that would be a fever of 100 over 101, a persistent cough, extreme fatigue, or muscle or body aches, a sore throat or congestion. Those you can call your provider or an urgent care center. So a lot of our providers are better now with the telehealth. I think everyone like this is more comfortable with that. So under their guidance, you could see what their recommendations would be if you to get a test, to quarantine at home until they could get a test, or if they had a sore throat or some congestion that was in alignment with their normal symptoms for spring. I know I tend to get seasonal allergies in the spring as all the great pollens start. So thinking about that and those regular conditions that some of us experience and really taking that into consideration. So I would say with the partnership of your medical providers, using their critical skills for medical assessments, that's when you would want to stay home.
So would it be fair to say, when in doubt, stay out? Something to that effect.
Well, I think that if people are, I like to think that all of us are adults and professionals in our work, and we would have the capacity and the ability to assess our own health. And if you are feeling ill, that you can't participate in work because you have a fever or some other new acute condition happening, then you would work with your medical providers with that and not attend work.
So I guess next we'd kind of like to get a sense of if there have been any changes to the protocols around contact tracing. This is the pandemic we've realized has a lot of information that comes very rapidly. So are there any changes that you have seen in the last few weeks around contact tracing?
Yeah, so in the last couple of weeks, I know that the recommendations for quarantining after an exposure, if you're vaccinated within that window of where they say you're fully immunized, beyond the 2 weeks and within that 90-day period, that you would not need to quarantine for an exposure. Other than that, I have not heard of any other changes, Jean.
All right, this might be I think this is a Ben question. And we asked this a while ago. Remember, we're the hopeful group. So I've been hopeful and an optimist since October, I think, and asking about return to in-person. So as we're looking to get more students and more staff into buildings, does the district have more of a sense of available empty spaces where staff can socially distance and have lunch, because as we know, it makes no sense to have people using the spaces that they did in the past, which are typically interior rooms with no windows and poor ventilations and fairly small. So I think what we had asked for was a list of available rooms by building. And I haven't seen that yet, but I know it's probably going to change because we're looking at moving more staff and students into buildings. So I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I can actually, as of today, I can actually speak intelligently about this finally. So what the important part is so it's building by building is how it's being assessed rather than throughout the whole district. So building administrators have like identified specific rooms, and I think we can get them all to give us as the JLMSC the exact locations of those rooms. Offhand, I want to tell you the exact room number in Crocker because it was actually set up today. I did a walkthrough over there today, but yeah. So it's a building by building situation, and so far the guidance that we're giving in trying not to micromanage it necessarily, but also trying to maintain a safety standard, is that we are making sure that there are spaces where no more than 2 staff members will be in there at a time, and that they will be greater than 6 feet apart with open windows. So it's a building by building, and I'd like to put the whole document together at some point early next week. So I'll be bothering building administrators one by one, starting with Crocker.
Following
Did you have a
up
follow-up
with
for that, Krista?
I have, it's another really old thing that now that we're thinking about more bodies and more buildings, back before the winter holiday, we were having conversations that we would return to often about ventilation for timeout spaces. And it's been a long time since we've asked, but last we knew the status of it was that there was some work that needed to be done to find a viable way to put some ventilation into those spaces. And we're curious if you have an update for us on how that's going. And like I acknowledge it's been a while since we've asked, so it might be buried in your brain a little bit.
Right. So the most, what I can recall the quickest, I'll say, is without looking anything up, is the timeout spaces at Wildwood have been completed in terms of the ventilation. We'd added the supplemental air purification systems to those rooms, and we were in the process of doing that at Fort River when we kind of shifted gears now. So we're focusing back on Crocker now, and then we'll circle back around to Fort River because of we're prioritizing where students will actually be. So
Is whatever you developed for Wildwood and Fort River, I know those buildings are really similar. Do you have, I'm assuming that you have some ideas on how to move forward at Crocker now from that process. How do you anticipate that going at Crocker?
Yeah, so it's going to be slightly less tricky, I suppose. So the original systems that we had, which were in ceiling mounted, it's more possible, I'll say, that's the safest way to answer that those can be installed there without a whole bunch of like re-engineering or anything. But yeah, it's one of those, I don't want to say that it's definitely going to be easier. It looks like it's a lot easier to handle there. And also with
timeline?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Ben. Do you have a timeline for completion?
No. And the other thing I was going to add on is at Crocker, the difference is that those rooms are direct vented as is. So this would be in addition to that. So, but yeah, and that's actually the one part where it sort of does get tricky, is doing the math on not kind of over ventilating the room, if that makes sense. Right? We don't want to create a complete negative pressure room.
So it's 4:28. I don't have anything else. Krista, do you have anything else?
Just a
Emma, you
question
must be
about
exhausted.
One last question about long-term planning. And we talked about available lunch spaces. We're also curious if you have an update on numbers of subs in buildings, or how that discussion is going, or as we're thinking about people in buildings pretty soon, what is the sub situation looking like?
Right. I don't have any new information to add to that. Just I think it's been probably a month now, right, since we talked about that there are subs assigned. I don't have exact numbers, but we can. I don't want to say press, but we can request that information be renewed, I guess, if anything, by Monday. I think it's fair to get that by the end of the day, Monday.
And would it also be fair to say that the focus at least at the elementary level is on Wildwood and Crocker Farm in Amherst? Pelham is its own district, but as far as the Amherst Public Schools, the focus on everything is on Wildwood and Crocker Farm. Is that correct?
Yep. In order, the order of priority, it's Crocker and then Wildwood. But yes, those are our two main focal points right now.
All right, Emma, once again, thank you for everything that you're doing. Please pass on also our thanks to the Northampton Director of Public Health, because I know you do a lot of work collaboratively, and it's much appreciated.
Thank you so much, Jean. I mean, really, we wouldn't be here with everyone coming together at this time. I really do appreciate Meredith O'Leary. She's the director for the Northampton, but also our partnership with our local fire department here in Amherst has really been helpful. They're with us every day for our clinics. And then also my public health nurse, Jen Brown, our IT department, our facilities department here for the town, the school too. I'm looking right at Ben, and all of our partners that we've had with the school, and our countless volunteers that are coming every day. It's just a really special moment to be in, all of us together. It's really kind of like turning a new leaf, the new chapter. So it's good work.
Perfect.
All right. And so with that, have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Thanks. You too.
Bye.
Enjoy. Stay safe. So I will linger for 3 minutes to see if there's any comments worth answering. Not worth answering, any comments that need answering, I should say.